1.2 billion people. 1.2 billion people. Think about that number. Imagine the United States cut in half, and 4 times the people in the United States crammed into that space. That's what it's like. India's most populous city, Mumbai, has 1.5 people for every New Yorker, and is half the size of New York. I recently had the privilege of traveling to this mysterious person-packed country for work, and there I had many first experiences and got many stories to tell. Today I'd like to share a little bit with you why I went, some of the cultural and personal experiences I saw, and then share with you some of the business insights I gained. Last time I spoke to you, I told you a little bit about what I do at Black & Veatch. This project is a good example, so I'll give you a little bit of background. Our client's name was NTPC. They're an Indian power producer owned by the government, and they burn a local Indian coal. They don't get enough coal from their local suppliers, so they have to burn coal from international sources, typically from Indonesia. Black & Veatch was contracted to help them find out what's going to happen to their power plant if they burn American coal instead of Indonesian coal, or South African coal instead of Indonesian coal. So that's the sort of studies that we do. And we use a proprietary software that we built in-house and that I work on to do these types of studies. As part of the project, I traveled to India to give presentations, or to deliver presentations regarding the study, as well as conduct training at one of their power plants to teach the NTPC personnel how to use this proprietary software so that they can do studies in the future and make good decisions about their coal purchases. As Karen said, this was my first time being outside the country. I was a little bit nervous about making all my flights and connections, but my 15-hour flight went very smoothly. I got to see a lot of things out in India. The first thing I noticed was the air. As soon as I got off the airplane, my eyes started burning because there's so much pollution in India. The next thing I noticed was the sheer volume of people. I thought it was just crowded or busy, but it's just always that way everywhere in Delhi. The next thing I noticed was the poverty. When we're driving through the city, there's hordes of people, homeless people living on the streets, in homeless communities and huts. People don't have access to water. Many people are hungry, and they don't have access to health care. Even people who can afford it don't have access to good health care facilities. And people will burn trash and cow feces and any other feces for that matter to heat the food they can't afford. So there was a lot of poverty that I noticed there. Another thing I noticed was the traffic. I'm sure many of you have been to LA or Dallas and know the traffic is crazy there. Much different in India. With so many more people on the roads, it's much more crazy. The typical rules and instincts that we have here in the US don't apply in India. Lanes, they don't matter. Here you look, you turn, whenever you turn on the road, you look to see if anyone's coming. No, you just go. There's, for a given 3 lanes of road, there's typically about 5 lanes of cars, and they're so packed together. People's mirrors are broken off because buses come by so closely to your car and take them off. So many people's mirrors are closed in. So how do they know if someone's coming around them or turning? Everyone honks out there, if they're going to pass somebody. Beep, 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 beep. It's kind of like a echolocation of some sort. It's this chaotic organism that seemed to work very well while I was out there. However, I'm told it doesn't work quite so well because there's a lot of deaths on the roads out there. Like I said, there's a lot of poverty in India, a lot of horrible poverty, but there's a lot of optimism about India that I found out about talking to our clients out there. India has a lot of poverty, but they have also a lot of what's called energy poverty. The per capita energy consumption is around 1/10 of what it is in other developed countries. So what are we getting here in the US and other countries that they aren't getting there from their electricity? Schools, hospitals, water treatment facilities, air conditioning is a big one. You know, a safe, clean way to cook food, that sort of thing. So our client out there and other power producers are planning on expanding their power plants and their power capacity out there immensely. To give you some perspective, I don't know if you're familiar with Jeffrey Energy Center over at St. Mary's, Kansas. It's a large energy facility, and our client out there is planning on building equivalently 2 of those every year for the next 20 years. So there's immense opportunity from a consulting and engineering services point of view, which I'm sure Black & Veatch would be happy to provide. But more importantly, that increase in electricity capacity will provide the type of foundation needed to improve the quality of life for those 1.2 billion Indians. Last week, we celebrated our country's birthday, the 4th of July. In the past 238 years, America, look at what America has accomplished by embracing freedom, capitalism, and a proper role of government. India has a constitution similar to ours, but the government is plagued with corruption. The infrastructure is feeble. The populace is undereducated or uneducated and fragmented by language and culture. They recently had elections in India, and they elected Prime Minister Modi. And there's a lot of optimism about him because he's known for nurturing the type of environment for economic growth that India desperately needs. Just imagine a world in which 1.2 billion free-thinking, healthy, educated, and entrepreneurial Indians were unleashed on the world to pursue their own dreams like we have pursued ours. Thank you.